I wanted to create a video for you to explain Excel's frequency function. We're going to be using it a lot in this class, and it's actually one of the more difficult functions to use. So let's talk about how to set that up. All right. Well, I have here the basics of what I need to create a frequency table. I have a data array over here in this range. That's column I. And over here, this is where I'm going to put my values. Over in this cell that I've just highlighted, I'm going to put a count for the values that are less than 5. The next cell down, I'm going to put the values 5 to 9 inclusive, so that's going to include any value of 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. The next cell here is going to go the count of values 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 inclusive, etc. all the way down. All right, what do I do? Well, an array function requires that I operate on all of these cells simultaneously. That's different than any of the other kinds of functions that you're going to work with in the class. All right, so what I need to do is I need to go up here to the formula bar. It won't always work if you type it in over here. It's easy to make a mistake if you type it into the cell itself. So let's not do that. Let's go up to the formula bar and call a command. As always, we're going to put an equal sign, FRE. Excel is smart enough to know we want the frequency function. So I can just double click on that, and it tells me the arguments that this function requires. This requires a data array and a bins array. Recall that an argument to a function is simply a value that the function requires in order to work. So the first argument I need is my data array. So I'm just going to highlight those. I'm going to highlight those rows over there that contain my data and put in a comma. Next thing I need is my bins array. And I'll explain to you about the bins array in a minute, but let's first just execute the function. All right, take this very slowly. Don't try to rush it, step by step. I'm going to close the parentheses. Don't do anything yet. Close the parentheses only. Now, I'm going to take my left hand and hold down the Shift and the Control key. Now I specify using my left hand. Why? Because I've seen students go into all kinds of contortionist positions to execute this function, and what happens is you wind up letting go of the wrong key at the wrong time, and the function doesn't work, and you don't know why. So left hand, Control, and Shift key on the left-hand side of the keyboard. Right hand is going to go, and while holding down the Shift and Control key with the left hand, I'm going to press the Enter key with my right hand. And there we go. Has Excel returned the correct values? I think it has. We have two. How many values do we have that are less than 5? We have the 4 here and the 4 here. So that's correct. How many values do we have? Either 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We have 5 values, and Excel has returned a 5. And how many values do we have? 10, 11, 12, 13, or 14. We only have a 10, and we have an 11. We don't have a 12, a 13, or a 14, so we only have 2 values. Excel has returned that correctly over here. That was that 2 is. All right, let's go down to the bottom. How many values do we have that are greater than or equal to 30? I just wrote GT/EQ just to mean greater than or equal to. I didn't want to use the mathematical symbol. I could have. Greater than or equal to 30. I have 1 value here and 1 value here, greater than or equal to 30. 2 values, so Excel has returned a 2. All right. So what's this bin range stuff all about? This bin value of 4, what Excel is going to do then is it's going to look to see what are the values between 4 and the next lowest value in the bin range. There is no lower value in the bin range. It's only 4. So Excel is going to return a 2 over here to count for that 4 and that 4. Easy. Had there been a 3, by the way, Excel would have also included that 3. All right, next one. Bin value of 9. What's Excel doing? Excel is going to count the number of values that are 9, 8, 7, 6, or 5 up until, counting down up until the next value, the next lowest value in the bin range, which is a 4. So it's going to include that 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. And indeed, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 values, and Excel has returned a 5. So it's a little tricky. It's a little bit tricky here because I have the labels saying one thing and the bin range saying something else. I've done that a little bit differently over here. Over here, I've had my bins start with values that are less than or equal to 5. And then my next class interval is 6 to 10. So that will be anything that is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Up until, by the way, you don't have any values like this in the data array, but up until even a value of 5.000001 would still be counted in this bin because it's greater than 5. Well, we'll just do that one there. Let's select these cells here, go over to frequency, equal FREQ, and it knows that we want a frequency. And the data array is over here, same data array. I'm going to add that comma. This time my bins array is over here. I'm going to close the parentheses. Again, left hand, Control and Shift. Hold those down. Right hand, press Enter, and there's my values. Okay? And you can see how many values do we have that are less than or equal to 5. 4 is less than or equal to 5. This other 4 is less than or equal to 5. This 5 is 5, so it's less than or equal to 5. And likewise the next one. And that's how that's going to work. All right? What Excel is going to do is you can always go one cell below, one row below your last bin, and this is called an overflow bin, or well, I don't know actually what it's called, but this is where any overflow goes into, right? If we didn't have this here, we'd only be capturing anything between 29 and 24. Excel, by the way, doesn't look at this. It doesn't know it's there, doesn't care about that. It's only looking at the bin range. I put this here, and you want to put this here in any table that you create so that a human being can make sense of what the heck is happening without a long-winded explanation. All right, let's now create a frequency, percent. So we're going to, percent, of course, is the count for that class interval divided by the total down here. And I'm going to press return. All right, now, of course, we can fill down. Aha, we can't fill down. Why did we all of a sudden get this division by 0 message? Let me show you why. What's going on? In cell 04, we have N4 divided by N12. In cell 05, we have N5. That's correct. It has correctly gone down 1 because we've gone down 1 in O. It's going to go down 1 in N. But we've also gone down 1 in the denominator. Instead of having N10, N12 as we have over here, we have N13. That's no good. So what can we do? Well, we can fix each one of these and change these manually to N14, but Excel is smarter than that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to create what's called an absolute cell reference. So I'm going to put in a $ between the N and the 12. And what that's going to tell Excel is that you can change the N4, you can change the N in the bottom, but you're always going to be in the 12th row. No matter what happens, we're in that 12th row. Now, what we can do is fill down the way we always do. I can drag it, or I can also double click, and that's how we're going to figure that one out, right? And to make things nice and quick, we're just going to select those cells over there, paste them in over there, and Excel knows we moved from O to V, and this value in cell O referenced the column N, one column to the left of O. So Excel then knows that we want to, if we're in U, we want to access one column to the left of V, which is column U. All right, that's pretty much it. Now there's one other thing I got to show you here. Excel has this very annoying habit of always thinking I want a date. So if I were to type in 6-10, it thinks I mean the 10th of June because that's the 6th month and the 10th day. This invariably drives me and everybody else nuts. How do you deal with that? You have to make sure that your column is selected specifically as a text column. What happened? Well, Excel assumed we wanted June 10th, and what it did was it converted that to what's called a serial date. So just forget about that. You don't have to know about that. Let's do 6-10. And now, because we've told it that anything in column X is actually text and not a date, it's going to allow us to not think that 11/15 is the 15th of November, or that, well, 16/20, I don't think we have a 16/20, but etc. You're good to go like that. So don't let that bother you, because it'll drive you nuts, as it always does drive me nuts. All right, I hope that that's helpful to you.